Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a deep dive today, focusing entirely on one um, incredibly tragic event.
Mm-hmm.
That recent dumper truck crash in Jaipur. You see the headline, loss of control, accident.
Right.
But when you actually start digging into the reports we've looked at, Times of India, NDTV, Patrika News, Farham Tribune,
Yeah, several key sources.
you find something more. It points to, well, maybe a breakdown somewhere in the system, especially with heavy vehicles.
Mhm.
It feels bigger than just one driver.
That's exactly what we want to explore. Synthesize these reports, get past the initial shock of the tragedy,
Yeah.
and really understand the mechanics of it. What went wrong? What did the system perhaps miss?
So for you listening, we're trying to give that context. How does one mistake, one action spiral into something so catastrophic?
Exactly. Let's start with the basics. Where and when did this happen? Okay, so it was this past Monday afternoon, right around 1 p.m.
Busy time.
Very busy. And right in Jaipur city, the Harmada Lohamandi Sikar Road area, not some remote highway.
Right in the middle of things.
Absolutely. A commercial zone, lots of traffic.
And the scale. I mean, usually a truck crash involves maybe 2, 3 other vehicles.
That's what you'd think. But
Yeah.
here, the reports are saying the dumper hit around 17 vehicles.
17.
17. Cars, bikes, just plowed through them.
That's hard to even picture.
It explains the awful human cost, unfortunately. A heavy dumper truck it's just physics.
What are the numbers there?
Currently, the reports say 13 to 14 people lost their lives.
Oh, terrible.
And many others injured. Some very seriously. Hitting that many vehicles implies, well, it wasn't just a moment of lost control.
No, it suggests sustained, uncontrolled movement, probably at speed, over a distance.
Exactly. To cause that much damage in a busy area, something really extreme must have happened before the impacts began.
Which leads us straight to the person driving the truck.
Right. The driver's been identified. Kalyan Meena.
Okay.
And the absolute core of this, the action that seems to have set it all off, driving on the wrong side of the road.
Against traffic.
Directly against traffic when the collisions started happening.
But there's more to it, isn't there? The CCTV footage adds a really disturbing layer. It wasn't just a mistake, maybe.
Well, that's what the footage suggests. It gives us this glimpse just minutes before the main crash.
What did it show?
It shows the driver, Meena, near a petrol pump. And he apparently gets into some kind of argument and altercation.
With another driver?
Yes, with someone in a smaller car. A moment of conflict, road rage possibly. And then what he does next is key. He doesn't just drive off. It looks like retaliation.
How so?
He aggressively overtakes that car. Fine. But then he pulls onto the wrong side of the road.
Intentionally.
It appears so from the descriptions, and not just for a second to get around something. He stays on the wrong side.
For how long? How far?
The reports specify about 700 meters.
700 meters, driving a dumper truck on the wrong side of the road.
Nearly half a mile. Deliberately, it seems, driving into oncoming traffic in a heavy vehicle. In a city.
That's almost unimaginable. It guarantees disaster.
It really does, and it raises that terrifying question, how does a massive truck drive the wrong way for that long without something stopping it?
No barriers, no police, no way for other drivers to even react in time.
Apparently not until the horrific collisions began.
And then there's the suspicion about his state impairment.
Yes, there's a strong suspicion of drunk driving. Police took blood samples right away.
Are the results back?
We're waiting on the toxicology reports. But honestly, even without that confirmation,
Yeah.
the known facts are damning enough. High speed, we assume. Definitely driving on the wrong side for 700 meters after an altercation. It screams extreme recklessness, not a simple accident.
Okay, so that's the driver's actions on the day. But then comes the bit that just makes your jaw drop. This wasn't his first time driving dangerously.
That's the critical connection, the point that shifted this from just a terrible incident to a potential systemic failure.
What did they find?
Investigators found that this driver, Kalyan Meena, already had a case registered against him.
When?
Earlier this year, 2024. And a Jitgar, Sikar, for rash and negligent driving.
Wait, so just months before this catastrophic crash, he was formally flagged by the system for dangerous driving.
Yes. Documented. Official case registered.
Then how on earth was he still driving a dumper truck? How did he still have a commercial license?
That right there is the million-dollar question. And that's where we need to connect the dots. Because if the system knew, if it identified him as a risk back then,
Right.
then whatever happened next, a fine, maybe a temporary suspension, maybe the case was just pending, It clearly wasn't enough.
He didn't stop him.
It didn't prevent him from getting back behind the wheel of a heavy vehicle and, this time, causing mass casualties. It shines a harsh light on, well, the effectiveness of monitoring and enforcement for these high-risk drivers.
It makes you question the entire process, doesn't it? For a regular car driver, an offense is serious. But for someone operating essentially a multi-ton weapon, shouldn't the threshold for losing that privilege maybe permanently be much, much lower, especially if they've already been caught driving recklessly?
You have to wonder about checks. Is driver fitness just a one-off thing when you have the license? Or should there be continuous monitoring, especially if there's a red flag like a prior offense?
And how does the system talk to itself? He gets flagged in Sikar.
Yeah,
Does that immediately trigger an alert if he's driving commercially in Jaipur?
that seems to be a gap, potentially, an interjurisdictional enforcement issue. The system didn't connect the dots in time or effectively enough.
So we're talking beyond just, traffic cops on the road. We're talking technology, integrated databases.
Maybe things like mandatory GPS tracking on all heavy vehicles, something that could automatically flag prolonged wrong-side driving or extreme speeding.
Is that feasible? Is it discussed?
Well, the debate certainly gets louder after something like this. You weigh the cost of that technology against the cost of, 14 lives, 17 vehicles destroyed.
The calculation changes.
Dramatically. The whole point of regulation is prevention, right? And here, it seems the system reacted after his first offense, but didn't prevent this far worse outcome. The gaps allowed him that lethal 700-meter run.
So it feels like, yes, the driver made horrific choices on Monday, but maybe those choices were enabled by a system that didn't adequately address his known risk from months earlier.
That's precisely the implication. The prior negligence wasn't contained effectively. That systemic vulnerability is what allowed this tragedy to reach such a scale.
Okay, so what's happening now? What's the immediate response?
So the driver, Mina, he's under arrest. That happened quickly.
And the charges? Are they treating it as just an accident?
No, definitely not. The police are considering charges of culpable homicide not amounting to murder.
Okay, can you break that down? Why that specific charge? It sounds serious.
It is serious. Culpable homicide suggests a higher level of blame than, say, death by negligence. It implies the person knew their actions were incredibly risky, likely to cause death, but did them anyway.
So driving a huge truck the wrong way for 700 meters, possibly impaired. That fits.
It fits that definition of extreme recklessness, that knowing disregard for life. It's not just a mistake. It's seen as a conscious undertaking of extreme risk. The charge reflects how serious the investigators view his actions, especially with the CCTV evidence.
So the legal system is trying to match the severity of what happened? What about his license? Can he ever drive commercially again?
Administratively, things are moving fast too. The truck's been seized, obviously, and they've started the process to permanently revoke his driver's license.
Permanently.
That's the goal. Given the prior record plus this catastrophe, it's hard to imagine any other outcome. It should be swift and final.
And the investigation itself? Beyond the driver?
It's extensive. Police, the traffic department, they're going through all the CCTV footage they can find. Not just the crash site, but his whole route leading up to it.
Trying to piece together that entire journey. See where the system failed.
Exactly. They want to understand how that unchecked wrong-side driving was even possible. Where were the infrastructure weaknesses? Missing barriers? Blind spots for cameras?
So it feeds back into potential changes.
That's the idea. Use this terrible event to identify and hopefully fix those vulnerabilities.
And what about the public? There must be outrage.
Absolutely. Huge public outcry. People are demanding action specifically on road safety involving heavy vehicles.
We'll just, yeah.
Two main things seem to be coming through. Finding better ways to prevent wrong-side driving, especially by trucks, and getting much tougher on commercial drivers who have repeat offenses.
Understandable.
When people feel the system failed to protect them this badly, the pressure for real fundamental change gets intense. People understand mistakes happen, but not like this. Not with this level of devastation from one driver's actions. Hashtag outro.
So if we pull it all together, what's the core takeaway from this deep dive?
I think it's this collision, really. You had extreme, terrible choices by one individual, the potential drinking, the speed, that unbelievable 700-meter drive against traffic.
But those choices became a mass casualty event because they hit potential weak spots in the system. Specifically, the failure to effectively neutralize a known high-risk driver after he had already been flagged for dangerous driving just months before.
That failure put him back on the road, in that truck. The system didn't intercept him.
And the sheer scale of the destruction forces us, really, to look beyond just blaming the driver and ask hard questions about the regulations, the monitoring, the enforcement that's supposed to prevent this.
It puts the focus squarely on prevention, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. How do we stop it before it happens?
Which brings us to our final thought, something for you, the listener, to really consider. We know the system was aware of this driver's rash and negligent driving record from earlier in 2024.
Document. So the question is, what specific concrete change, whether it's technology, a different licensing policy, maybe mandatory tracking for repeat offenders, what change is needed to guarantee that a documented history of recklessness actually stops that driver before they get a chance to cause a catastrophe like this? What was the exact loophole that let him slip through?
Until we have a solid answer to that and implement it, it's hard not to feel these kinds of tragedies might happen again.
Something to think about.